Well, it's like the art form, like it's like the hip hop. If we talking about hip hop, right? Hip hop was originally an art form, but then it turned into a business.
Mm-hmm.
So like you talk about the music business versus the music art form, and we see that the business has damaged the art form.
It's changed the art form.
It's
how a lot of people create.
Well, right. So that kind of like brings me to like the question about like cause a lot of times you hear the term culture vulture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And well, from what I can see now, like the culture vulture is very much a part of the culture.
Oh man, I mean, hip hop is 50 years old this year,
Mm-hmm.
and really,
but even in the black community,
right? But just putting that under the microscope for us to take a look at it. The truth is that the history is even deeper than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Than this 50-year mark.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, like as far as the business and execs being involved, they've been in it for a minute. So like the direction and how music is provided and consumed now, like that's been something that's been controlled for a little while. Like we've been on this path for a while, and that's also why it's coming full circle now, because it's interesting to see now with like all the subgenres that exist, with how far we are. There's so many people now that actually see more value in the earlier forms of how hip hop was created and the earlier artists and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like even right now, it's dope to be seeing a lot of new artists taking songs from the '90s and then trying to flip it up.
So that's kind of like how we was doing.
Right. But it's something that is that they are recognizing exists within this span of time that is not present today. You see that they want to tap back into, to give out or to give life again, right? Or to, develop self or the art form.
And that's really speaking to the true artists that are doing that, or people who are more art, have the mindset of art.
Sure.
As opposed to like when I say like the culture vulture, like someone like a Leo Cohen or even like a Vlad TV or these guys. But if you look at the culture, right, or if you look at where it's at now, the business of it would the business of it be the same way without the culture vulture? Because they made it, or they taken it into places where now we're making money off of it. We're not just enjoying it now; we're making money. Now it's a business.
I think without the vultures, without the people that have been benefiting from the negative aspects of this if they were not present, I think it'd be a different landscape, a different world, right?
Much.
Because it's like if it's the same thing where if something doesn't belong to you, it's easy to take it for granted. If you ain't worked to create something, it's easy to not appreciate it and care for it the way that it should, right? Like you bring up Leo Cohen, right? I think that even him, right? Because it's often a question as like, why even make the devil, right? But like, yo, look, it was an interview where he got asked, like, about his involvement with the shit, and if he promotes, what I'm saying, some of the negativity and shit. He's like, nah. But then, I gotta feed my family still and shit, right? And so I think like that was a very important moment for like the world to be able to take a look at, though, right? Because it's very clear that that the music is being weaponized.
Absolutely.
Right? And so you got to look at who's holding a weapon and who's getting cut down by the weapon.
That's very important, and that's why I say that's where the culture, or the hip hop culture, that's where it's at now, because it's being weaponized against us, and not only it's being weaponized against us because we've sold it to the highest bidder. Like, you got that money, for me, well, I'll do a song and dance for you because you got that money, and I now got to feed my family. You see what I'm saying? Like so, and that this is what appears to appease the culture vulture, who's going to take it and monetize it and turn it into. You see what I'm saying?
See, God, again, like, you know, like, time is such a big factor when it comes to all of this too, though, right? Because, you know, after a certain amount of time, now the people are realizing the value and what was created like years ago too, and that it shouldn't have been given up for money, for whatever, you know what I'm saying, little amounts of money. And the pioneers didn't really receive a lot of money. You know, they were exploited, and a lot of other folks got the money. You see what I'm saying? And look, I'm gonna give you an example, right? Because as a little boy, I had a limited amount of toys because, you know, like, money wasn't there like that for that. You know what I mean? Years down the line, it's certain toys that I cherish, and we had to make our own things too, right? Some of the things that we made, had we known, you know, they could have been, and had we had the resources, we could have had some stuff on the shelf and made some bread off of that. But even aside from that, a couple of years ago, they put out this show on Netflix, and it's a remake of Vultures. I got the chance to introduce that to my children. Like, yo, this shit's so dope. I used to watch this when I was a little boy. I want to see what they do with it, right? And it was dope, with the exception of like one or two little things, right? But then what I opened up the door for is, I went and I showed my children, like, yo, listen, let's look it up. These are the toys that I had a black line and this and that. What are they worth today? And when we did that, it's everybody's like, hold up. You know, we're going to have to move a little differently. So what I started doing with my children was like, all right, if we're going to pick up toys or anything, here goes something you could play with. But this right here, you're going to hold on to until you're an adult. And now you might be able to auction it, sell it for X amount of bread, right? Same way with comic books and different things like that. Like hip-hop, the art form, so many different things. Like Biggie's crown, which the crowd I was made just was being auctioned for a lot of money too. That he wore in that iconic picture.
Crown, right?
Yeah, like it wasn't something crazy, but, you know, under the right lighting and such, and because it was kept, it became something iconic, and it has value, way more value than it did at the time. You see? And so it's so much. What about the fur coat that Slick Rick first wore that was somebody's grandmother's and all that? There's a lot of different things, God, you know what I'm saying, that are really valuable. When we talk about the voice of our people, the minds of our people, you know, our stories, it's all interwoven in this art form. You know, this is something that years down the line, people could take a look at and be like, oh, this is what was happening. This is where we were at in the mind here and how we were living. So there's a lot of value you can't put a dollar sign next to it.
Can't put a dollar sign next to it. But see, a lot of times we give it to the culture vulture, and so they be giving some, you know, Federal Reserve notes, and then that goes into our discussion about capitalism. Like, you know, we always, him and I go back and forth about, you know, the science of capitalism, right? And capitalism and how destructive it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're saying like, yo, there's money. Like, well, you know, big. You know, can our culture, our expressions, you know, our thoughts be monetized in that way? For a Federal Reserve knows, like, so let's say, you know, so look at, like, let's say, you know, like Def Jam. I always use this example. Def Jam was sold for upwards of, you know, $700-800 million. Right? So if somebody gives you $800 for your catalog, you probably like, well, yeah, wow, like, you know, right away. But then the size of inflation, that $700,000 this year could be worth, you know, $1. You know what I'm saying? Like, with the size of inflation. So, and the value of what we give them continues to go up, but the value of what they gave us goes down.
See, and that's the thing though too, right? Because it's one thing if you say this is what this is worth,
right?
What I want for it, right? Right, like, you know, I have certain things that I'm doing, and because what I'm creating is of a certain value to me, I'm not putting out what I'm creating for 99 cents a download, like how a lot of people are doing it with their songs. You see, even though like the machine has been set up like this for a minute, it took time, energy, and a lot of money in order to do in order to do to create it. So you know the sign, you know what it is, you know what I'm saying? And mixing it and mastering it and creating a packaging merchant, it takes a lot for somebody in my position alone to then turn around and just give it away for crumbs. You see, so it's a different thing where it's like, all right, now I recognize my worth, and I'm not gonna compromise that. You know, I know that, you know, could I use $1 million? If somebody says I'm gonna give you $1 million for the kid, I could use it, but I'm not gonna take that because this is worth more, and I know that down the line this is gonna be so much more. You know, like my great grandchildren are gonna be able to be like, yo, that's who my great grandfather was. Like this, how he saw the world, this is how he was moving through it. Like that's super valuable. I'm not gonna give that away. You know what I'm saying? But
a lot of times we do give that away.
Yeah, I'm not doing
that. No, you're not doing it. I mean, because you got the knowledge of yourself, right? There's a lot of majority of the people, 85%, they don't have that. Because I'm just thinking about, the different business models of Bob Johnson, Barry Gordy, Russell Simmons. They all sold their companies, and for this, to have that foresight of damn, I could pass this down to my children. Now, it's been weaponized. It's in turn, we sold it to the highest bidder. It's been weaponized, and now we don't have control over it, and all we could do is boo-hoo about it.
Nah, I refuse to take that position, right? Because for one, to just one thing, right? It's like, it's a different time, and there are a lot of people waking up to this and taking more responsibility and ownership of what they create, including Bill Powers. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of folks that's like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna do a band camp. I'm gonna do my own shit so I can get more bread and not just have it out here like that, right? But then, in addition to that, G, I think that we don't have to just complain and boo-hoo about it. I think now is more the time where it's like, all right, you see it like how I see it, let's work together. You got 1,000 people that I don't know and vice versa. Let's come together, and then now we can handle marketing and promoting and doing a lot of things and run this on our own. Right. But then it takes, you know what I'm saying, having a certain mindset.
It takes us coming together.
Indeed.
That's a sign that's a
huge part of it.
And a lot of times we overlook that coming together.
That's the biggest, that's the solution for most of our problems, guys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we was adding on about this, the other day too, because again, like in our family units and just in our networks, it's like, if you need an editor, if you need an accountant, if you need somebody that has experience in the medical field, if you need somebody that is an electrician, like it's all here within our families, within our cycles. So it's like, why go outside of that? You know what I'm saying? If you don't need to. It's good to do trading. It's good to deal with folks. Like it's mad important to have connections on every corner of the globe, G. You know what I'm saying? But like it could still be us. It could still be family. It could still be our network in order to see success.
It seems like we don't. I mean, cut your wisdom, but it seems like we don't. That's a minority mindset, or the small, like the 5% mindset, because. Like, even like RZA just sold his catalog, at least for what I heard. He just sold like the catalog of the Wu-Tang to
I
a
didn't
company.
hear that until just now.
Yeah, see, I heard he did, right? Right. So and Timberland, like, so this is like a trend. Like, you sell it like, I could get, like if I was on my own, right now it might make $100,000 a year per se, right? You know what I'm saying? I may make a couple $100,000, but I sell it to them for like $500 million. I just cut my time in half. Like, fuck it, I could just do it all over again. And that seems to be the trend in the mindset of people. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's a multi-layered conversation in dealing with the culture bullshit, how involved the culture bullshit is, or how important the culture bullshit is to the culture. Like the signs of industrial revolution, getting paid, or is it the music business, or is it the art form? Like what? Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to where you placing your values at. You know what I'm saying? Us as a people, as a collective. I mean, you as an individual, you have already decided, like, well, this is how I'll place my values, and I'm gonna come here and we'll build the guards about it. But not everybody has this.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it's like, all right, we're going to have to see, because time is going to tell, too, whether or not those were wise decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, those brothers have already reached a certain pinnacle of success. They may have other things set up for what they're going to do with it. Maybe they have plans to buy it back later on. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I just know that the people...
You think the people want to be able to sell it back? Like,
I know that it's never that easy.
It's never
that easy, but I do know that... what I do know is I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what's in their minds. I don't know what they have planned out. I know what I want to do, and I'm still developing certain techniques, certain strategies, certain things to do to become more successful and to reach more people. I also just see the value in connecting with other brothers and sisters that see it like me and are willing to do the work like me, you know what I'm saying, and not lose time, you know, dealing with folks that don't, you know what I'm saying?
That's important.
If Mecca did this.